Hello, everyone, and I am now giving you my overall season, not really overall, but my season 4 review of Avatar: Legend of Korra, which I just finished about 5 minutes ago. I just got dressed for this video, really, and throughout this is the only season which I actually took down notes. This may not seem like much, but I just wrote down main highlights. Through this, essentially what the story is that, it's been like, I'd say 6 to a few months later of, after finale of season 3 from what happened with Zahir and Korra, like, she almost got overtaken by the poison, and she's much like she's very much in almost like a trauma, it's almost like she's going through a traumatic point in her own perspective way. It seems like she's a weird way coping with it. She feels like it feels like the way she feels is very much like, how do I deal with myself now? To her at least, she feels powerless. She feels like I can almost be killed. It's like, kind of how someone would question, how someone would kind of go through a slump type of phase after like a near-death incident, how anyone would react, recapping on their own life, thinking about all the alternatives, and essentially feeling like your life may be insignificant. And that's what Korra is kind of going through. She feels really alone, and like no one, because she has this interesting connection within the spirit realms and all that, she feels like no one can relate to her. She feels so lonely. She literally cuts off everyone, and for a few months, she goes away and she does some trap-bending stuff and material, and she goes away for a bit. And eventually during that, she ends up in the forest. The forest kind of corrupts her in a way. She ends up meeting Toph. And Toph, if you don't know, is a character from Avatar: The Last Airbender series. And during that series, she was only a little girl. She was only like in her pre-teens. In this series, when you see her, she's like a grandmother. She's like in at least her 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s for all I know. Well, she would have been in her early teens in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this is 7 years later. So she would at least be in her early 80s, at least, in my opinion. Just go from her age, at least. And through that, she finds Toph, which is amazing. Toph is one of the most highlight type of characters in this series, in my opinion. And while that's all happening on, Kuvira, who's a new villain, she's essentially trying to take over Earth Kingdom and attacks, and trying to win over sides. It's like, what, if you don't want your country or your city like this being attacked or something like that, just submit your rule to me. Let me take over your city, and under my rule, I promise to you, you will be safe. Would I ever lie? It's like something about her is like, I do trust her, but it's like you don't trust her. It's like she seems like someone who Kavira is a brilliant villain. She's, in my opinion, the best villain in this series, and I'm glad the series ended with her as a villain. And I think anyone would say, really, I speak for anyone when they say a good villain to a great or even excellent villain is a villain who you don't really condone or anything, but it's a villain who you at least understand why they're doing what you do. You can at least empathize, or at least understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And Kuvira is a brilliant villain. The way she intervenes with her own political views and how she kind of takes into into Republic City, and how she wants to take that over, and she has this new big weapon, and how the Earth Kingdom almost had a bit of a mix-up before with some certain things they can't get too much into. But that's also as well. And during that, Korra eventually finds her way back home, and she meets up with everyone, and during then, she gets informed about Kuvira, essentially, and and she's essentially forced to take a side. Well, she's not really. I won't say she's forced. There's not like people like you jump my side this side. She's like, for the first time, it's like there's a villain and she's attacking a place where her love, her pride, and her hopes, her family is there in Republic City, and this is like, okay, this is too far. I have to take a side, and that's really important because the character Korra, she's been told by many before her, and at least not through all those type of stuff, is that the Avatar is never supposed to take sides, and I thought Korra becoming emotionally invested within a certain side was a big highlight from the character herself, and I thought seeing her split decisions within that in a way she kind of rationalized that out, I thought was really thorough, really well done and fascinating. And at a certain point, Kavira she's a really unique power type of big plasma can type of thing, and she's taking the power away from this big tree. And at that point, I'm like, oh Christ! I hope they don't go down the Avatar route. And I don't mean Avatar, this type of Avatar. So I mean like the movie, the blue Native American movie, really high grossing, really like what the powers are just coming from the tree and taking the power from that. I'm like, at that point in the story, I'm like, oh hell no, please don't do that route. And they really just like they focus on it for a little bit, then they kind of redirect the focus to somewhere else. And I'm like, oh good. I was personally really hoping they wouldn't do that. I'm like, I swear to God, if you're gonna go down that road, that stupid goddamn road story, I'd be like, you idiots. But I'm glad they didn't. That was such a clever tease about from maybe going down the story arc. I don't know, really. And Kavira essentially captures. She essentially at one point captures a couple of Tenzin's family members, and essentially, some of the heroes try to go in and try to help them escape and take. At one point, Kavira was or at least Lin Beilong was attempting to assassinate Kavira, and that goes awry. Something goes wrong with that. Yada yada. That goes along through the way, and I thought. The voice actor for Kavira is very good. I love the way she looks, and I love the way the voice she has. It sounds very stern, very viscerated. It feels like someone who you would at least hear, and you want to feel like, yes, you really do kind of. What really sets Kavira apart, in my opinion, from any other villain in the series is that they address what was wrong with the other villains. And I don't mean like character-wise. I mean, well, actually somewhat. As that they say what was wrong with Amon, with Azula, with or at least all these other main villains that we have in season 1, 2, and 3. And they said they had ideals such as anarchy, or at least let's say here. The disorder, at least, is like what happened. What was wrong with those people is that they took their missions way too. They at least took their ideals way too far. They took it way too out of the line. They didn't even understood what they were wanting in the first place. And I thought that was a really fascinating route for what they were going through. And eventually during that of the story, Kavira plans to take Republic City, and she essentially kind of does. Therefore, the mayor of Republic City is essentially like, okay, fine, we give up, we get to the city. But it's kind of like we'll let you. They kind of do like a Trojan horse. It's like, okay, you come to our city, but we have a plan. We have a backup plan, and we can sneak into your settlers and take you down. And I think that was a really smart route, at least, even though there wasn't really an ideal strategy. It was like, it was like a last ditch. It's like a last itch. It was like a last attempt, really, for it. And from there, and like the last 2 episodes is like essentially. That's not strong. The last 2 episodes are just essentially action. It's like flat out action. It's like I love those 2 episodes. Those were big highlights of it, and for me at least, it was like amazingly great action. In a way that, if you ever had that big, weird robot going into Republic City and turn apart the city, at least it was really awesome. I'm like, just watching that, I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, that is terrifying, at least. And all the characters, like as always, they get a moment to shine, at least. They're all really funny, they're all really well done. Like I said before, they get a moment to shine. I remember the one from season 1 through 3. There's a character who I failed to mention, and I'm bringing him up now. Varric. Varric is hysterical. I loved Varric. He's so funny. He's like this fast talking type of guy. Talks like a posh type of sales type of guy from the 30s or 40s. He's just the way he talks. It's like a mix between a car salesman and a lawyer. He knows how to get a good deal out of you. He knows how to get your talents out. And he's like, I can exploit it, but make you feel like you're like you actually have worth in a way. It's a really interesting character. And then his tough Beilong as his assistant, and in the finale of this season, he actually ends up proposing to her, which is the funniest thing. I'm just like, it was both funny and hilarious, but it's also kind of emotional and touching. It's like, well, what they've been through is like, yeah, they kind of do deserve each other. Either we like their characters or not, really. So I'm like, yeah, they worked well. They worked out well, in my opinion. And again, and in the end, the finale, at their wedding, Pabu, who's like red. Pabu is like, I think it's Bolin's little animal sidekick character, who's like a red who's like the red raccoon that there's usually a Mako's or Bolin's shoulder. Oh my god, I love Pabu. Pabu is just immensely adorable. In the finale wedding of Verg's wedding, Pabu is essentially in the suit, and I just burst out laughing. No one was funny, but I was just like, oh, isn't that adorable? I'm like, I completely melted. I love the character of Pabu. It's just, immensely adorable, and I really love that little kitty pie Pabu. I'm like, I want one of mine. But nevertheless, I saw season 4 was fantastic. It's probably the best of these. I finally remember the title for the season, and it is season 4 Change. I do remember that, and I really like that because it feels like this is, in the way it ends, feels like this is like a start of a new era. As much as I really do enjoy the finale itself, I wish there was a greater feeling, even though they do address, Korra is still so young and she has so much to learn and she's still growing. She's only like 17, 16 years old at least. It's like, she's the future of her, all that type of stuff. And, they talk about the real finale itself, where like she sits down with, well, not really, she sits down with Asami. Well, there's like a dance at the wedding, and they're kind of like, from what we've been through, we should go on a vacation. Just me and you. And Korra's just like, yeah, we should. We should go. She's like, what? Let's go into Spirit World. I want to show you that. She's like, yeah, that's brilliant. And they hold hands. We get to see the new portal, which is actually in Republic City, which is really cool. And they're just like, Avatar Aang would be completely surprised by this, and he would be, for the record. But they kind of like, absolute end of it all, they kind of grab each other, they both hold hands, and they walk into the new portal. It's like, end. I'm like, really? I'm like, granted, that's a good ending, but And I understand, that they kind of shouldn't wrap up everything because the characters are still so young. And maybe we can any new type of stuff made for them. But I'm just like, I wish there was a more finale-esque, I really do wish I really felt more of a finale feeling out of this. Like, we really got to see certain things wrapped up. What happens to this character? Like, okay, we get to see what happens to Beric, but what happens to Malcolm Bolin? What happens to the new Airbenders? What happens to Korra? What happens to Kavira, because she didn't get killed like any of the villains before. Well, I'm not saying the villains got killed, but nevertheless, I just wish was like, for me at least, I wish there was more of a wrap up feeling. Like, okay, what happens to this character? Well, this happens. I get that and why. I kind of do get why they wouldn't do that for every character, but at least do that for the main characters. And I really at least was like, I was at least left empty with that. I'm like, come on, what in the world? So yeah, the ending itself, the finale itself is good, but I personally do think it could have been a ton better. But at the very least, yeah, that's really it, everyone. And yeah, sometimes in the future, yeah. That's really it, everyone. I really do hope you enjoy my reviews of my personal reviews of Avatar: The Legend of Korra, seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 as a whole. I really hope you enjoy my review of Avatar: The Legend of Korra as a whole. And in the end, this is definitely one of my new favorite shows. Really impressed by it, and I think it's a fantastic series, and I can't wait to start on Avatar Book 1 sometime soon. I'm gonna watch it this weekend, but until then, everyone, till then, everyone, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the future for more videos as always. Till then, thank you very much as always, and stick around for the weekend for my reviews of The Shallows and Finding Dory, and yeah, those will be up in the future at least, and even though I still got to see them. But nevertheless, in the end, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the future as always. Until then, well, be water, my friends.